Would like to briefly take a moment and say thank you to everyone who has continued to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. The Holy Bible teaches us, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. If you'd like to join us over there, it's only $1 per month at the base level, and even less than that if you sign up for an entire year, and no matter what level you choose, it's fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. What's the difference between YouTube and Patreon? At Patreon, we can take the gloves off. There are no censors. We have, of course, the Patreon firewall, and then we also have Vimeo that we're partnering with, and that gives us one extra layer of protection where we can speak our minds and we can take advantage of rights that we used to enjoy in this country freely. Would love to have you over there. There are hundreds of exclusive videos never before seen here on YouTube. Please, if you have the ability, would love to have you over there. You won't regret it. God bless all of you, and thank you so much. Speculative fiction both requires and rewards an open mind. All science, even modern accepted science, at one time was science fiction. We can go back to a time as recent as the 1950s, and we can look at what they believed the future was going to hold and see how ridiculous it was. Ray guns, food replicators, colonies on the moon, men with giant bubble helmets walking around. It's absolutely ridiculous. They could never have envisioned what the real future was going to hold. Men at that time did have open minds, though, unlike now. I wonder how 2080 and 2090 are going to remember 2020 and 2021. Another question you might want to ask yourself is this: why is the mainstream media, mostly the leftist media, so fixated now on this concept of UFOs? Well, for me, it's very simple. They want to try to bring these ideas into their theosophy. And no, I didn't misspeak there. It's exactly what I meant to say. It's a combination of theology and philosophy and accepted science. They relegate everything to one of two ideas. Either A, they're from some distant planet, or B, some human government that we don't know of somewhere on the planet has this advanced technology. And it's our job to figure out who it is. Those are their two authorized thought processes. Because in their religion of science, you cannot say that perhaps human beings are not the most advanced life forms on this planet. You can also not make the inference that we don't know everything about this planet. See, those are two tenets of their theosophical scientific religion. Mankind is the ultimate, and we know everything about the planet. You can't ask any unauthorized questions. That's why they are trying to grab this to stop people from having independent thoughts. For many years, they scorned and ridiculed people that attempted to ascertain what was going on with these craft that are in our skies. And they laughed and they pointed their fingers and all this kind of stuff. But now they feel like they need to take the story over. And they need to make everyone believe you have to be in Camp A or Camp B. It's absolutely their plan, but in today's video, I would like to share a different aspect of my belief on this. I've shared before that I think that it's an advanced race. They are likely based under the ice in Antarctica or in our deep oceans. They've been there for a very long time. And our lack of interest in that continent has allowed this to go undiscovered for a very long time. If they were under the ice in Antarctica, one thing you would have to assume is it's very dark under miles of ice. There would be no way very much sunlight could penetrate. Wouldn't that explain the large black eyes that we have seen reported from people saying they've seen these beings? They've referred to them as the Greys, or some people call them Zeta Reticulans or whatever. It would make sense that they would have developed an adaptation to low light. And if it was an environment where you didn't have access to a great deal of nutrition, like we have seen in other cultures around the world, it would contribute to their slight stature. Many people have reported these gray aliens as being very skinny, very gaunt. All of this would point to Antarctica. Even images like this confirm this, that perhaps we are seeing a race that has adapted to life in a way that we just don't understand yet, and we just haven't studied. We used to have science and scientists that could accept something like this and not take it personally like the left does. Everything has to fit in their model of what exists in the world. They can't even conceive of an idea that perhaps there is an unknown world, or had been an unknown world, that we've just lost record of. Out of the same side of their mouth, they'll also tell you that at one time Antarctica was a lush tropical rainforest. But they stop there. They don't go to the next level. Well, if it was a lush tropical rainforest, do we know of any lush tropical rainforests on the planet that are not inhabited and have not been inhabited for thousands of years? No. So why would we make the assumption that the continent we know to be Antarctica was a lush tropical rainforest totally uninhabited and devoid of mankind or any other advanced life? Now, I want to go back to this image because it shows an opening in the ice. Now, this one is not very large, but all over Antarctica, using Google Earth Pro, you can find ones that are incredibly large and look like they are in use. I'll give you, of course, these coordinates, and you can go find these locations for yourself. Download Google Earth Pro to a laptop or your computer. They are all over the place. And all of the locations that I have found are very close to the coast. Here's another one. And you can see by the shape of them, they're not random. In fact, this one and the next one I'm going to show you have virtually the exact same shape. Let's go ahead and measure this one real quick. In feet. This one, from the floor to the top of the arch, is about 49 feet, which is 15 meters. And across, about 7.65 meters, or 25 feet. Now, this is one location in Antarctica where we see this. And as you can well imagine, it looks exactly like some type of an entrance. 50 feet wide. What is the average road in North America? 2-lane road. About 20 feet. So this is the size of just a little bit bigger than a 2-lane road, in and out. entirely different location, on the other side of the continent, we find virtually the exact same thing. And measurement-wise, well, let's see. About 24 feet wide and about 50 feet tall. Now, what are the odds that it would be shaped like a doorway and it would be virtually the exact same height, exact same width, with what looks like very distinct shapes that have been created? And this is all just random wind, ice, rock, and snow. I think the chances are almost nil. So we can explain where the craft are entering and exiting. This opening would absolutely be perfect for the size of craft described by the pilots in the FA-18s, the Tic Tac craft. Perfect size for them to enter and exit underneath the ice sheet. They are all over the place. I can show 4 or 5 of them in completely different locations. Same thing here. This one is about 39 feet wide, which is in meters, about 12 meters. And about 9 meters high, which is in feet, about 27 feet. Still plenty of room for the craft. So that's 3 locations. We can even do a 4th. And this one, I don't know how anyone can explain any other way than this is some type of a doorway. Once again, they all have arches. They all have completely perpendicular vertical sides, flat base. This one's far larger, 122 feet, which is in meters, 37 meters, 18 meters wide, which is about 60 feet. So that's just 4. I'll give you coordinates to, let's see, how many do I have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have actually 6 different ones that I have located just so far. So everything fits, to my mind, as far as the logic of what we're seeing coming from this planet, coming from underneath Antarctica, and being tied to this phenomenon of gray aliens. If they existed under the ice, it would be very dark. And they could have gone many hundreds of years without being discovered. We have tribes in the rainforest that have gone hundreds of years and not having been discovered or had any contact with. And those are places that are virtually right on top of other places that are inhabited that we know of. This is a continent larger than all of Europe. Think of every country in Europe. Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, Great Britain, Denmark, Italy. Think of all of them. Put them all together and then think of all of the different governments and races and civilizations that have risen and fallen just over the last 2,000 years. Now imagine a place larger, virtually undiscovered, virtually uninspected, unknown. Antarctica is really 2 different places. You have West Antarctica, and science will admit this too. West Antarctica is very, very different from East Antarctica. And all of our science stations are all around the edge, other than one, which is kind of inland here a little bit in West Antarctica, but out here in the middle, miles of ice, miles thick. And like we've covered in other videos, they've just discovered a cavern that is 1,000 feet high, 6 miles long. You could fit all of the city of Miami Beach in it with room to spare. This is the reality that I believe is going to direct the next 100 years. Eventually, somebody at some point is going to have an open enough mind to ask the question, could this be the case? Could this be what we're really dealing with? And of course, leftist science is going to push back against it. And they're going to try to laugh at people. And they're going to try to say, no, there's only two accepted schools of thought. They're either from this planet, that planet, or the other planet, or it's some government we don't know about. I hope that at some point people wake up to this and walk away from it. This idea of just always believing accepted science. I'll leave with this. For those of you out there that think I'm being unfair to the left. Life does not accommodate you. It shatters you. It is meant to, and it couldn't do it better. Every seed destroys its container, or else there would be no fruition. Florida Scott Maxwell, if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if an egg is broken by the force inside it, life begins. Great things always begin from inside. Ponder that while you're watching CNN. God bless. See you tonight on Twitch. Like, share, subscribe. Would like to briefly take a moment and say thank you to everyone who has continued to join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. The Holy Bible teaches us, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. If you'd like to join us over there, it's only $1 per month at the base level, and even less than that if you sign up for an entire year, and no matter what level you choose, it's fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. What's the difference between YouTube and Patreon? At Patreon, we can take the gloves off. There are no censors. We have, of course, the Patreon firewall, and then we also have Vimeo that we're partnering with, and that gives us one extra layer of protection where we can speak our minds, and we can take advantage of rights that we used to enjoy in this country freely. Would love to have you over there. There are hundreds of exclusive videos never before seen here on YouTube. Please, if you have the ability, would love to have you over there. You won't regret it. God bless all of you, and thank you so much.